So let's talk about the election. Trump versus, I almost said Joe Biden. Oh, 2 months ago, I wouldn't have been incorrect on that one. Trump versus Kamala. By the way, you see the Saturday Night Live with Kamala? Yeah.
I didn't even want to watch it.
It's like their impressions are good. They brought Jen Gaffigan in for Walls. It's just like your impressions are good, but you don't really tell jokes from that side. Like, you never really paint them in that bad of light. I mean, this is long standing. It's just typically what they did. Actually, you know what they did go after was Joe Biden. They really ripped into him. And Dana Carvey's got a great impression. But they didn't really go bad against Kamala. They didn't make her look bad. They actually made her look delightful. Obviously, Trump gives you lots of material, but
they made fun of her in the Democrat debates. You know, back in 2020, they made her look like a joke.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But not now. Now we can't do it. All right. So this is, and I'd love to hear what you guys say at home. Do you like us bringing, I'm thinking we should be giving you, since it's October, it's right before the election, we should be giving you an update on where the battle stands right now in the battleground states. But if you think this is redundant from what else you're seeing, just let us know. Let us know in the comments if you appreciate it. This is a real clear politics average right now. If you look at the battleground states, Trump is actually winning what I think is important. We talked to Cliff Maloney on Friday. I mean, it really comes down to just winning Pennsylvania and Georgia. So in the top battleground states, Trump is winning Arizona. This is as of today, October 1st. All this is in the margin error, just so you know that, okay? So Arizona, he's up by 1.9, the RCP average, that is, okay? Nevada, Harris is up 1.4. Wisconsin, Harris is up by 0.6. Michigan, Harris is up by 1.4. Pennsylvania, Trump's up by 0.1%. North Carolina, Trump is up by 0.6. And Georgia, he's up by 1.5%. Once again, statistical tie, okay? But this is what the RCP average shows. So if you scroll down here, Dawson, you can click on the 2024 Electoral College map. If this held today, being that those slight advantages, they are slight, but if they held up today, not that one, the one on the, where did it go? Is it above it? I wasn't looking at your screen.
It looks good on ours. Sorry that yours is kind of...
Oh, is it not showing? It shows Trump at 281 electoral votes to Harris Walls at 257. Yeah, it's not showing up on that screen there. So anyhow, just go back up to the averages, the chart. So as we've said before, it really comes down to Trump winning both Pennsylvania and, assuming he's going to win North Carolina, I think it's a good assumption, Georgia and Pennsylvania. Let me ask, I know you're not as big on polls. So T-Wall says, I think Trump is polling better than in 2016, 2020. This is why I'm bringing up polls. So polls obviously are just reflection of where things are today, and they're only scientific to a certain degree, okay? With that being said, in both 2016, 2020, the polls under factor, or let's put it this way, Trump overperformed what the polls said in both years. So it seems like anytime Trump is on the ballot, his support is undercounted. And T-Wall believes, and T-Wall, I'd really love to hear what you're thinking on this, because you actually are a suburban woman, and so that is the category that really many people think is what the election's going to be decided on. So I'd love to hear what you think on that. Napkin Nate says 10 more Truth Hurts show until election day. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. All right. So anyhow, looking at those numbers there, Jesse, predicting the future, where do you think this ends up? I mean, obviously, even if they win by 0.1%, it's a victory.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Pennsylvania is the battleground. It's going to decide the election most likely.
Does Trump win Pennsylvania?
It's going to be close. I hope so. I mean, it's especially with some third parties on the ballot and whatnot. It's But one thing I was just thinking about in Georgia. Georgia's also another one that we need to pay extremely close attention to. There is going to be an opportunity for fraud in Georgia again, because Georgia has put two candidates on the ballot: Cornel West, Claudia De La Cruz. Cornel West is an independent. Claudia De La Cruz is the Socialism and Liberation Party candidate. Both of these candidates were placed on the ballot. The ballots are printed. People are voting early voting, and absentee mail-in voting is happening all across Georgia right now. The Georgia Supreme Court rules a couple of days ago that all votes for Cornel West and Claudia De La Cruz will not be counted, despite them being on the ballot. I mean, what kind of fraud is that going to set up for then? Because there's going to be all these ballots that, and these people aren't going to get a ton, but they're each going to get maybe a 0.5% or so, 1%. And if you're taking away 1% of the ballots and throwing them out, they'll count the rest of them. But, to say that their presidential vote can't be counted, that's someone's right to vote being stripped away from them, because how are they supposed to know that a candidate's votes aren't going to be counted if they're listed on the ballot? If you're listed on the ballot, the voter is going to be looking at it and thinking, okay, all of these people are qualified. I can vote for whoever I want, and my vote is going to be counted. Well, apparently not in Georgia, because if you're going to vote for one of those third parties, they're just going to throw your ballot out, and you're not even going to have your vote for president counted.
Which still makes a difference, though, in this race, because a lot of these polls they'll do both. Some won't even do both, but they'll say, is it Kamala or Trump? And then when you had third parties, and we talked about the New York Times Siena poll, when you actually asked if it was all the options instead of just Trump versus Kamala, it went from a tie to Trump winning by 2 points.
Right. And, that's the thing. These two being on the ballot definitely helps Trump. But the fact that these votes aren't going to be counted, we have to trust Raffensperger. We have to trust the, same people in Georgia, the county clerks that screwed it up last time. We have to trust them. And especially when we're giving them even more to do now, because we're saying you need to throw out these ballots. I mean, I don't understand. And actually, the Georgia Supreme Court unanimously made this decision, which means that even the Democrat-leaning justices and the Republican-leaning justices all came to the same opinion. I'm not sure how. And meanwhile, here we are in Minnesota, where Georgia's putting candidates on the ballot and then saying we're not going to count the votes. Here in Minnesota, we got candidates who aren't even constitutionally eligible for office. We got Dr. Shiva, who's going to be on our ballot, and those votes are going to be counted no problem, despite him not being eligible. So meanwhile, there's two candidates, Cornel West, Claudia De La Cruz. I mean, maybe they didn't meet the standards to get on the ballot in Georgia, but for whatever reason, they were put on the ballot. But it just doesn't make any sense that those votes are going to be thrown out. I think that it creates major potential for fraud. And, I think the fact that they're on the ballot helps Trump, but the fact that the votes aren't being counted hurts Trump.
Dustin, let's pull up C2. So North Carolina is an interesting one because it was in the Trump column for so long. It would seem like a pipe dream. Democrats are going to win it. Then the big story comes out, Mark Robinson. Of course, Mark Robinson's story seems very minor compared to what they're dealing with in North Carolina. But a Washington poll now has Stein, the Democrat, ahead of Robinson, 54%, to Robinson dropping down to 38%. And another poll from East Carolina University has Stein at 50% to Robinson's 33%. You followed this a lot more than I have, Jesse, but you're saying that it was about 50-50 polling going into this story.
I mean, basically, the Democrat was up just a little bit going into this story, but then once the story hit, it's just been down.
And so it looks like basically maybe Stein got a little bit of a bump, but really the bigger story is a lot of people are withholding their vote right now from Mark Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where the story goes. He's apparently hiring a law firm to investigate who created these fake comments in a porn thread.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's if that is not a real story, and this the media did this hatchet job against them, that's a big freaking story.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the results from 2020. So let's see here. It was less than 1.4% between Trump and Biden in 2020. So this election is going to be close in North Carolina. I mean, it's going to be one that people have to watch out for. And the fact that Mark Robinson is going to be dragging Trump down is a big problem. I'm not sure what the right answer is. I was telling you guys before the show that Mark Robinson was trying to push this Democrat to do a debate, and that was before the controversy had happened. And the Democrat was refusing to debate Mark Robinson. Now that the controversy has happened, I think Robinson needs the debate even more because he's got, he's this big personality. He's got a lot of character. He can be funny. He can be interesting. He needs a debate to be able to try to explain away some of that stuff. It seems like the Democrats not going to be willing. There's some third parties in this race as well. There's a Green Party candidate. There's a Libertarian. There's a Constitution Party candidate. The Constitution Party candidate, and I don't know if the Libertarian either, has not said anything about Mark Robinson's comments, which you'd think that if you're a third-party candidate, this would be a heyday for you. You'd be thinking that, all right, I'm gonna win a bunch of support. But yeah, I think Robinson, it doesn't look like he's gonna step out. He's got too much pride probably to step aside. But I mean, the polls are not looking good. The best thing he could probably do is say, don't vote for me. I'm not voting for myself. Vote for a third party, because the only thing he's going to do is continue to drag Trump down.
Tucker says Stein was out campaigning while the west half of the state was devastated by the storm. Stein just lost the election. I didn't know that. That's bad optics.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. This guy.
Now imagine Biden fumbles.
Stein is totally an arrogant, like full of himself attorney general. So like, it's not like this guy who Mark Robinson's going against is this standout politician. You know, he's another crooked career politician that people are also not huge fans of. It just so happens that, you know, Robinson lost this election, and you know, that's the thing. I'm not believing his little take on things. It seems like you're lying to voters by calling it AI, and, you know, you'd probably be better served just by being honest and saying I was joking around.
What if it really is AI? I mean, I don't know.
You know, that's the thing, though.
Because it's so believable that you and I are like, I think Mark Robinson screwed this up. By the way, if he really did it, just say it's different person, different time. Like, to lie about is unforgivable, in my opinion, in politics. So if we go back to Trump versus Kamala, since we're going to do an Am I Racist review, let's review this new Trump ad that you just showed me this morning. This, in my opinion, is fantastic, and I think it's going to play out in probably all these battleground states. Go ahead, play. This is C5. There you go.
Greatness doesn't discriminate. It doesn't see where you're from, what you look like, or who you know. Greatness is for those who work for it, for those who keep moving forward. Greatness is for anyone willing to fight for it.
I think that ad is so fantastic. Here's why I think it's great. Because
it's probably my favorite ad I've seen out of his campaign. You know, even during the primary, all of that stuff during the primary, all of it. I think that ad really hits it. You know, I mean, if he just continues to play that thing throughout the swing states, he should win. I mean, just the symbolism to the shooting and everything, and you know, it's a unifying message.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool look. You know, the design of everything, like that's one of the coolest ads I've ever seen.
What's so genius about it is you're getting inundated with ads. Even in Minnesota, ads are bad. But I mean, imagine these battleground states.
I mean, the Angie Craig, Joe Tayrab, it's nonstop with those ads.
Yeah, so just imagine you're in these battleground states, and all you are seeing is just real videography, real people, all that stuff. And all of a sudden, you get slow music, black and white, with dramatic reds put in there. And the first thing you hear is greatness, and you're looking at, obviously, Trump, because he's so recognizable, even with a black-white skin. What do you call that technique they're using?
It's called a rotoscope.
Rotoscope. So
just really quick, basically it's you take a video and then you go into Photoshop and you draw out every frame, like doing the outline and then whatever texture inside. It's a cool effect.
Great effect. If Kamala did something like this, I would say great as well. So then it breaks up what people are seeing, and you're going to grab people's attention, because right now we're getting to that point where people's attention is they're just going to tune out on politics. It's like, you got to make an impression. We were just going through some pre-show of all these mailers I've been getting, and just how awful they are. Like, you're not getting your message out because it's so wordy, and the graphics are bad, and the messaging is all over the place. Like, not going to work.
And especially with only 30 seconds, you know, that ad, you know, they could even maybe trim it down even a little more if they wanted to. But I mean, that thing is like, it's
meant for a 30-second spot.
Right,
obviously.
exactly. But, you know, that's what I mean, that like it's, they pack just enough information in there to where it's not overblown, but it's simplistic. It's
very
clean.
simplistic.
And, yeah, I think it was an awesome ad.
Oh, I think it's great. Okay, so let's